Okay, hello out there in internet land. I'm with Darren Bickerton tonight in the first of what will hopefully be in the Gutter Chat House. All right, Darren.
How you doing, mate?
Good.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Absolutely.
About 30 years, I think, since we last spoke.
Yeah, I was trying to work it out earlier on. I was going, it's got to be about 30, 31 or maybe even more. I was like, wow.
Yeah, well,
many
yeah,
have gone by.
Yeah. For those that are viewing, Darren is a guitarist with a local Coventry rock band, the Unresolved. Currently, obviously, unable to do an awful lot.
Yeah.
Because of the current crisis. But
the enabled.
Yeah. But firstly, we were just talking about how long we've known each other. Let's roll back a little bit and let's go to the introduction of yourself to music. What background you've got, where you started out, what got you to music and things like that, really.
Well, back in the day, people either listened to punk or like rock and roll. That's the early days when I was about 12, 13. So I was like, my mum and dad, they're not really into music. But my older brother was in like rock and roll, so I just kind of followed him into that, and then in the end it was really good because bands like the Stray Cats came out and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was that fusion stuff that came about where like the Meteors came out and it was like the psychobilly stuff, and I really got into that. But I've always had this like, so I used to have the hair and everything, and was well into the Meteors, and that's kind of how I got into playing guitar. Yeah. Because I wanted to be in a rockabilly band. Yeah. Or a psychobilly band. And so the other thing was like, I actually, the guy next door to me was a huge Black Sabbath fan, and he lent me Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. You know, the one with all the artwork on it, yeah?
Yeah.
So you got the guy on the bed and the demons all over him and all and stuff. And I just played it to death. So back then you could either be one thing or another. You couldn't like something else. It was weird time for people.
It was, yeah.
You know, so you couldn't have like the hair and the drapes and the fucking big shoes and all that stuff and like hippie music.
Yeah.
Because you know, heavy metal wasn't called heavy metal; it was just hippie music, right?
Yeah.
But
I had a similar thing myself. I was into rock and roll music, but I began getting myself listening to punk music, and had to hide it from friends that were into the rock and roll stuff.
Yeah. So
it was like that then.
And then later on in sort of mid-80s, do you remember like, is it Smithford Way in town where HMV used to be?
Yeah.
They had the benches.
Yeah.
The thing to do was to go and hang out in the record shops, right? And you look through the records, you didn't buy them and you just went, I've got that one. I've got that one. Yeah. and wait for the new release to come out so you could go and see like the new Meteors album and go, one day I'll be able to afford it.
Yeah.
But, like outside of there on the benches, the Coventry punks used to hang out there, and I used to get to know them.
Yeah.
So I started hanging around with like a lot of the Cov punks, and like, I mean, you probably know Gaz Swain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went to school with Gaz Swain, and then he was in Annex UK. Yeah. So we used to hang around and you know, with all them kind of guys. And then I think at the age of about 16, 17, I started to hang around. Like there's a couple of us that wanted to play guitar, and we'd like Sam Smith from Voodoo Kings.
Right.
Yeah, because he's a childhood like mate, and we got guitars and we learn a bit and we show each other and get into music that way. And that's how I got into playing music.
Oh, right.
And I think hanging around like with people that were into punk and stuff kind of really broadened my horizons then, because it started to change. Things started to change in the mid-80s. You could listen to anything. There was a point where you didn't listen to pop music. You listened to like being a rockabilly. I could now listen to punk and get into like things like Discharge and bands like that, and Crass, when Crass came out, I thought they were amazing. And the Damned, you know, massive Damned fan, always have been.
Yeah.
So things started to change, but I still, you know, had the rockabilly haircut and the big jeans and the suede shoes and shit.
So how did you move from the rockabilly stuff into what you're doing now? You didn't go straight from the rockabilly, but you went from all these different tastes of music, but you've ended up in kind of metal music now, haven't you?
Yeah. So what happened was, like I said, me and a couple of mates, because that's what you did in the day. You and your mates suddenly went, "I'm going to learn a bit of guitar," and the other one, "I'll be the drummer then," right?
Yeah.
And there was three of us, and we started a rockabilly band. And my mate Alan West, then after, like, in his early 20s, he went on to Bolt Thrower. So he was the original singer for Bolt Thrower.
All right.
And he was there, and Baz, the guitarist from Bolt Thrower, was one of the punks that used to hang around as well in town, and Lee Dorian from Napalm Death and Cathedral. Yeah. So he was a skinhead when I knew him, right? So there was two skinheads who used to hang around together, right? Bill and Brains, right?
Yeah.
And he was called Brains. Right. So when I watched a documentary years ago, and I think it was about the mid to late 80s, when like Nate started coming out and BBC were doing something, and they showed a clip, and I'm like, fuck, Brains on telly with hair. Who knew? So yeah, the fun part for me is, like, because I've played in bands and been around so long, it's like yourself. I mean, you've been in quite a lot of bands as well. So the amount of crossover people that we both know, that are still playing, you know, James Pillion, people like that, Chrissy, we've all sort of been like going our own direction. Weirdly,
going back a little bit again now. What was your first band? Was it a rockabilly band? Was it?
Yeah, it was a trio, right? So there was me, my mate Alice, who then went on to do the whole Bolt Thrower thing, and our mate Ian Randall. We forced him to play drums. He had no sense of rhythm or timing or anything.
Yeah.
And we had a rockabilly band, and it was kind of rockabilly, psychobilly, early stuff, and we called it Raw Move. And we did a demo tape. There used to be a place in Coventry called what was it called? Holyhead Music Workshop, Spon End.
Oh no, yeah.
Right? So they had this like music resource underneath. So we started going down there and hanging out and booking rehearsal time and learning bits and bobs down there.
Right.
We did a demo there. I've got somewhere around. And we did a few gigs in Coventry, and then, as you do, mates fall out.
Yeah.
So Ian left, and then a guy called Chris Hunting, who was in another rockabilly band with Sam Smith from Voodoo Kings, they came in and we sort of welded it together, and we did a couple of gigs, and we played. I've got some photos somewhere. We played St Mary's Guildhall. There was this big thing where a load of like teenagers or 20-somethings from Bologna in Italy came over,
right?
Hosted by the Holyhead Music Workshop, and played it. A load of other bands played it. There was like reggae bands and all sorts of stuff. It was really interesting time. But obviously, then like there's a point where you think, oh, I've got to get a real job,
We all do.
and move forward. So I stopped being in a band for a while and concentrated on trying to be a grown up, which is no fun. Yeah, but then by that time, right? Your band Firefly was the first like local band I'd ever seen.
Right.
And that's because I went to school like with Will Bristow. Yeah. And Anthony Moore, like we were all in the same at school together, which is how I ended up going to see their band.
Yeah.
Ultimately ended up meeting you.
Just to point out though, Firefly were they were around in the early 80s, and we were, I don't know, metal band basically, Coventry metal band. We played around a lot of the biker pubs and things around Cov. It was good fun, yeah. But I looking back, I don't recall our paths crossing that early though. It was
No, but I'd always remembered you from that. See?
Yeah.
Because I'd gone mainly to support the guys from school.
Yeah.
But that opened me up to the possibility that actually anyone can be in a band, and anyone can play in a pub.
Yeah.
And local bands became king, and the Brew and Baker was a great place to go and see like a lot of bands back in the day as well.
It was, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So there was another punk band. There was two really good punk bands in Cov at the time. Annex UK was one, and the other one was Martin Duff, who used to be their singer.
Martin Duff. No,
his nickname was Scruff.
Right. No,
I can't remember the name of their band, but they were quite big as well. So from that point, like I say, Firefly was the first band I'd ever seen, like in reality. And then
we weren't the best band in the world, though.
Do you know what? I look back on a lot of bands I've been in, and but it's entertaining, it's fun, it's getting
fun.
It out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's and all these years later, it's like, now I know what inspired me.
Yeah.
To pick up pick guitar, like that was the Meteors, right?
Yeah.
To actually go hang out with friends and go, we can be in a band because I've seen it done. Yeah, that was the inspiration. Yeah. But then obviously growing up, and it comes a point you meet somebody and you go get married and all that kind of stuff, which is what I did. So then I didn't need like the rockabilly haircut because I was too busy being a grown up for a while. And then liking Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, and like my cousin Keith at the time, he used to give me like records and stuff, and he introduced me to so many different like metal bands like Dokken and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, so that's where
moved into the 80s glam scene around then as well, weren't we, really?
Yeah. So the one band that I'm ashamed to say I really like is Poison. But I did think they were fabulous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can't knock you for that, because I was quite heavily into Poison when they first came out. The first album was very influential, and I loved the fact that they just got away with wearing all that makeup and stuff, and it was just the way forward for me at that point. I got sacked from Firefly for having a red leather jacket. that was the end of Firefly for me.
See, I remember your leather jacket red on one side and black on the other.
That was a different one. That was a little one, but yeah, I got sacked for the red leather jacket and started to get into the glam bands myself around that time.
But if you think about it now, Firefly are almost the epitome of like. Do you remember the spoof band Bad News?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you've got the one going where you can't be in the band because you're wearing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're all wearing black because we're metal. You can't wear that as charcoal, that kind of thing. Yeah.
No, they did have that kind of image though. Greasy hair, black leathers, beards, or whatever. You know. I think I had a moustache at the time. That was the.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah. No, I can't knock it. You know what I mean?
No.
I've had a million beards now. But
I've been there myself, so I know.
Moving forward, the need to play music and be in bands again was really, really important to me.
Yeah.
So even though like my children had come along and stuff like that, and I think it was probably really like date-wise, I can't even remember. It's probably even like 1990. Because I remember going to Donington that year, because in the 1988 was the one where the lads had died at the front of the stage in the mudslide.
Yeah. And
in 1989, they didn't have one. But 1990, I went because Poison were playing, Choir Boys were playing, Thunder were playing, Steve at the time was playing with Whitesnake, Aerosmith were headlining. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
So getting out and going to big festivals, that was the start of that. And then the need to get back into playing in a band. And I didn't want to be I actually just wanted to be in like a rock band or a metal band. So, you know, so my cousin at the time, Keith, he was big into Rory Gallagher. He let me load of Rory Gallagher stuff to get my head around, which is how come I ended up playing shadow play for so many times in so many bands.
I seem to recall that.
Yeah.
That jam all those years ago.
Absolutely, it was just a staple. And the other thing is, because I got well into Gary Moore as well.
Yeah.
And I just like that kind of big stuff. And Wasp were like around about 84 to 86, and I'd seen them. I still had my Rockabilly haircut, and I think you lent me a load of stuff, Wasp stuff, and then because you had the you had the Animal Fuck Like a Beast, you know, the one with the cod.
Yeah.
I remember wearing that off you.
Yeah.
And then I went out and got them, and then when I went out and bought,
did you give them back to me?
Yeah, I did, because I ended up buying the bloody thing, and the one I've got is the shit one with the dog on the front.
I've still got mine, to be honest. Yeah, I still got it. Yeah.
So I just thought Wasp were a fabulous band, and the fact that they like mingled horror and that kind of stuff and the theatrical stuff, and also they wrote some epic songs. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why with all that, all at the same time, I was into so many different kind of rock and metal bands. Yeah, I ended up just growing my hair, and I had the fringe and big long hair. I used to back comb it and shit.
Yeah, as we all did.
And I just wore black. Yeah, because I just wore tight black jeans. Because Gary Moore wore tight black jeans and baseball boots, and that was it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and get yourself a leather jacket, you know, with fringes on. That was the other thing, the fringe jacket.
Yeah, they were the in thing, weren't they?
Yeah. So
Definitely.
that's the route I went down, and it wasn't about I didn't have a lot of money, so it wasn't about spending crap loads of money on gear. I had some of the shittiest gear going, copy guitars and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. But
it did what I needed it to do.
You've got a few more guitars though these days. I seem to recall a picture earlier.
That's just the projects I've put together. Right, so Boris is one that's been around for a while, the one with the Boris Karloff on. I got bored.
Can I just ask, do you make these guitars yourself, or are they?
Right, so the Eddie Van Halen style one I put together last week.
Right.
Just gone. So I've got bits and bobs. The Relic one is with the left-hand neck is something I put together about a year ago, again from bits and bobs. So the body on that was lovely. The paint job was fantastic, and I took it in the kitchen and made a blow torch and just scorched it all off and set fire to it, and then just put it all together. Yeah. The other white one is one that I got the other week because I wanted to do a Jakey Lee style one. So I ordered like completely blank scratch plate, and then literally I had to like chisel it. So I bought the damn thing off Amazon. It was about 100 odd quid. And then I bought all these bits, and I had to make the scratch plate from little fucking tiny photographs. And I got the Dremel out, right, as you do.
Yeah. And
it wasn't powerful enough, so I just put it in a massive handle. Yeah, that's not a really safe, sane thing to do.
No.
So I was drilling holes everywhere and battering the crap out of it. And and it turned out really good. So, you know, I didn't measure anything. I just eyeballed it. And they both played really well. But these have just been something to do.
Yeah.
Because I've got, over the years, you just collect loads of crap.
Yeah.
And I've got old broken guitars. If somebody's got a guitar, right, they go, do you want it? and I've got a guitar now, do you want it? And I'll go, hang on.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll have it. What are you going to do? And they go, what are you going to do with it? And I don't know, I'll do something. So, yeah.
Madman with a guitarist.
Oh, so in my house here, I've got quite a few,
Yeah. Going back to...
also got a Dalek, but yeah.
Going back to the guitar slightly, you were mentioning or dropping a few names there. Jakey Lee, Edward Van Halen, obviously. What influences have you got now then these days? Have they changed from what they used to be?
So, because I followed Ozzy's career from the time he left Black Sabbath, because when he left, well, when he got the boot, right, I liked his voice. I liked their sound, but to me, when Dio came in, wasn't Black Sabbath, right? Dio singing Paranoid is just not right. It doesn't work for me. So I didn't really listen to them when they got any of the singer in. So I liked Ozzy Osbourne, and when he came out with Blizzard of Oz, I was like, there's not a shit song on this album.
Yeah.
Right? You buy an album and you go, yeah, there's 10 tracks on here. 4 of them are going to be mediocre. 2 are going to be outstanding. The rest are just going to be shit.
Yeah, yeah.
That album hasn't got a shit song on it.
Yeah. It's still stands the test of time, really.
People try and emulate Randy Rhoads' sound constantly. It's like the Ozzy Osbourne, his entire sound is created from that. So when people go, oh yeah, but it sounds a bit like, well, it will do. It always will do. It's his voice, and the way he sings melodies is unlike other people. So I was into Randy Rhoads, and it was sad when he died. But the worst job in the world, in my opinion, is to be the guy that steps in his shoes.
Yeah.
Right. So some great guitar players have like covered. Brad Gillis out at Night Ranger, he did a lot of stuff, but never recorded anything apart from the Speak of the Devil album, which is a live album. Most people don't know that Bernie Tormé literally took weeks after Randy Rhoads died. Bernie Tormé, great
I was going to
guy.
say, the late Bernie Tormé, we must point out. In fact,
absolutely,
he was a friend of mine actually. I used to message
him on Facebook all the time.
Yeah,
and he'd always reply. He was such a lovely bloke.
He was.
So it was quite a shock when he just went.
Yeah, I went to see him play in the Nuneaton many years ago, and he was the one that persuaded me to go back to music, basically, which is where the Guttercat came about for their second run, really.
But he was one of the most eclectic guitar players I've ever seen. Right, you can't pigeonhole what he did. He knew nothing about Ozzy Osbourne at the time. He got given the album to go and learn.
That's it, yeah.
And he did that tour with people like not liking who he was because it wasn't Randy, and people didn't realise that.
Yeah.
You know, so he had a difficult act. And then recording wise, Jakey Lee came along, had a really hard job because that's the first album, like the Bark of the Moon album. Like, there you go. That's your thing now. Go for it. And the title track, Bark at the Moon, it's one of the best guitar solos ever. And I like the way Jakey Lee plays. And when we were putting this band together, there's we don't play them now, but we had a song called Black and Skies. And the chorus part of it, I literally nicked. I'm not even going to fucking pretend I didn't, right? I literally nicked. I sat and I used to play Killer of Giants, and I love Killer and Giants, right? So the guitar in Killer Giants at the beginning is amazing, and those chords are awesome. And what Jake does when he plays chords is if he plays a bar chord, what he does is he doesn't like bar off all the notes. He'll just bar off the first one. So the live ringing sounds of the open strings. And I just ripped it off. I'll be honest, I hold my hands up. If he wants to sue me, it's one of them. If you listen to some of the stuff we do now, I mean, there's a song we do now. Which one is it? Escape Reality. And I'll admit that's almost a Badlands riff. So Jakey Lee, when he went on and then did his own thing with Badlands and stuff, I kind of borrowed that a little bit too.
Well, moving on a little bit, and as you've already brought up the subject, let's move on to the current band then. Tell us a bit about the current band. How long have you been together?
So
changes.
Kind of put it together. Yeah, there's been a few lineup blips at the moment. So originally, so my drummer Adam, I've known him a long time. He's a young lad.
Yeah.
Great drummer.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to jam. So
Right.
originally, it all comes back to, I'm not bothered about playing live, generally speaking.
I know that.
I just feel that I need to play in band, and it's like a hobby. You go and do it, and if you enjoy it, great. You know, but the day it becomes like a job, I just always walk away from it after for years.
Yeah.
So I contacted Adam. I'd already tried to put something together with somebody else, and they brought a bass player along, so I still had his number.
Yeah.
I contacted him and said, I've got this lad, he's going to come down. And he then said to me, because we'd already done something else with somebody else and another guitar player called James Miller, and he went, well, I'll bring James along. And I was like, okay, yeah, go for it. So we were a 4-piece when we started out, and James Miller, absolutely fantastic guitar player. He's very dedicated and studious. He'll sit there and he'll learn it, and he will not waver from what he's learned.
Right.
That's brilliant for James. That's not good for me, because like day of a gig, I'll just play what I want. I don't care. You know, whatever we recorded in the studio, day of a gig, if I want to change it a little bit, I'll just mix it up. Yeah. So it's a little bit awkward. But again, I was singing at the time, so it didn't make that much difference. So yeah. So Nick plays bass, Adam is on drums. Nick's ex-punk from Leicester. So he's mad on the Damned and stuff like that, and the Stranglers. So he was a bit, because obviously we lost a legend last week in the Stranglers as well.
Yeah.
At times, yeah. So we just got together and jammed. So we had no ideas, but so you do that thing where you play a riff and you go, who knows him well? You know what I mean? Yeah. See who joins in. Who knows? What's the other one that everybody always does when you're putting a band together? So if you're putting like a rock band together, you just do the usual covers just to get comfortable with each other.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we did. So I sang. I think the band's been going probably about 4.5 years now. And we were doing what we wanted to do. Nick went on holiday. And we decided to have a band practice without him. So I wrote loads of riffs. What we did, we Adam came along and he put he put a video camera on the side. Right. We videoed loads of stuff. We just bashed out loads of riffs. Then we looked at them. Like until later, Adam went, "What do you think of this one?" I went, "Oh, I like it," and we welded it together. That's where we came up with our own songs. Right. We hadn't played a gig. And then we played, I can't remember the name of that pub. Was it the Roadhouse?
The Roadhouse?
The one...
Yeah, in Birmingham.
Roadhouse. No, Coventry. Opposite...
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Opposite, down the Burgess. Down that way.
Yeah, just off the Burgess. Yeah. So our first gig was there, and we were support act for a couple of other bands. And it was a good gig. And James had never played a gig. Bless him. You know, he'd been in lots of bands, and he's a bedroom guitar player, and he's a great guitar player, but he never played in front of people. Right. So he came off and he was buzzing. And we had another gig not so long after that, down at the Ivy House. Right. Right, so we played at the Ivy House with Overseer, that used to be the Coventry band Overseer, and then they became Darkwater Fiends. Yeah. Blackwater Fiends, yeah. So that was the second gig, and that was really good. And then I get this mad big text off James about 2 weeks later, because we went and did some recording as well. So I get this big text off James going, "It's all looking very serious. I don't think I can commit." It was a big, well-constructed text, and he obviously he'd done what he needed to do, and he didn't feel that he could go any further. Right. So at that point, I was like, "Oh, fair enough. What are we going to do?" And everyone's like, "So we're looking for a guitar player." I went, "Nah, let's look for a singer. That way I can carry on. I can either sing mediocre and play guitar mediocre, or I can play guitar, and let somebody else sing and put more effort in on the guitar, which is what we did. And we were asking around, and then Adam knew a guy who'd been to one of our gigs and actually sat for him when we played Brick in the Wall, singing it back at me.
Oh, right.
And he says, well, what do we get him when we get him in? His name's Andy. So Andrew came along, and we auditioned him like for 3 weeks. It was really like hard on him because he kind of had something, but he'd been in bands where he was doing screamo music. So he didn't sing. And so I spent time with him and said, look, you need to sing it like this. And I'd show him how I did it and the notes and the range that I wanted him to do. And he put the effort in, bless him. And he's in a couple of bands as well. He's in a band called Chaplin, which is like a doom metal band. And then he's in another band, which is an eclectic mix called Calidus. And they're still playing. Right. So we were with him, and we did some recording with him. And he was with us. He was with us for about 3 years, because I always said to him, "You did the longest edition," and that was it. So the other year we parted ways. He wanted to do more, like the doom metal stuff and wear makeup, and he's a big Cradle fan. So he was like Johnny Big Bollocks when we did Godiva Calling and won that and got to play the rock tent opening for Cradle of Filth. Like we're over here, and like Danny Phil's standing over there waiting for someone to come and talk to him, and I'm not going to bother because he's not Zakk Wylde, right? And Andrew's got his Cradle of Filth t-shirt on, standing there, and every 10 minutes I'm going, go and talk to your little man, because he's tiny. Danny Filth's tiny. Yeah. My fucking Dalek's bigger than Danny Filth. And he wouldn't go. He's like, oh no, I'm shy. And he'd be like, so would you go and speak if it was Zakk Wylde? I said, if it was Zakk Wylde, I'd be fucking arm wrestling him, drinking beer around about now. So, but it was, and doing the Godiva thing was really good for us. So when Andrew first came on board, I'll just take you back a bit. We entered Metal to the Masses.
Yeah.
And we had some constructive criticism, which at the time was...
I believe that we entered that as well, Metal to the Masses. I'm sure we did. Was that up at Campbell, was it?
No, the one we did was at the Arches.
Oh, this one was an earlier one then, I think, that we did.
Yeah, because they moved it to the Arches.
Yeah.
So we entered Metal to the Masses just because we needed a gig, right? We got this new singer. We got no more gigs. We need a gig. We need to go out, try our new stuff, see what it sounds like, see if people like it. Yeah. So we went and played. You get 20 minutes, and you have to stick to your time and all that. And you can't swear and all that kind of stuff. And then there was a review written, right, which is the main reason we did it. So the review came back, and I also got hold of the video footage of it as well. So the review came back, and it was quite critical. I'd never been criticised before.
Oh, right.
Right? My fragile ego and cope. I was on a downer for a while. I totally disagreed with them, right? And then Adam says to me, he says, no, don't take offence. Listen to what they're saying and watch the footage, right? Adam totally agreed with it, and I nearly fell out with him, right? Bless him. He's like one of my children. I love him that much, you know. And it was at the point I was like, no, they can't be right, mate. They really don't know what they're on about. I've been doing this so long. And then I had to like eat humble pie, watch the damn thing, and then go, actually, everything they said is absolutely right.
Yeah.
To work on that. And we spent time working on it. So by the time we put in for Godiva Calling, and we did the first one, and I wasn't expecting to get through to the second, because you do 2 or 3 of them, don't you?
Right, yeah.
You do 3, and then we got through to the finals, right? And I was like, shit, we got through to the finals. And Blackwater Fiend won, and then we came second. So both of us, they won like the some other prize, time in the studio and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And we won to go on the stage, and they were on after us a bit later. Yeah. So and we know them, so it's like hanging out with our mates. It's really interesting. We've done quite a few gigs with them, and all that criticism made us a better band.
Yeah.
And then we got a lot more gigs rolling in, so we had to write a lot more stuff, and we started to ditch covers. And the only cover we keep, unless you want us, hey,
shadow play.
No, you know what? Never done it with this band. Never done it with this band. I don't think they'd let me. But we do out in the fields.
Yeah. I've seen
they went
that actually. Yeah.
Because someone in the band went, we should do a Gary Moore cover, and I went, out in the fields. It's brilliant. I used to do it when I was younger, and I didn't really play the solo that well. Yeah. So I had to learn the fucking solo. I had to nail it, because when we play it, if we're playing, like, you can always tell the musicians in the room.
Yeah.
So there's two songs we play that, like, if there's musicians in the room, I will spot them straight away. Mm-hmm. One is when we're doing that, because of the solo is like super complicated and fast. And the other one is No More Tears, because of the solo in the Ozzy Osbourne song No More Tears. Yeah. Everybody's like
solos actually.
Everybody's on it, so I have to learn them. I can't blag them. Like, if I play Bark at the Moon, like I blag the solo. Yeah. I kind of know it. It's kind of all there, but you know, I'm not super tight on it. But those two, I really have to nail them. So sometimes I have to refresh. Like, I couldn't play them now. I'd have to refresh myself. I'd probably have to spend 2 days going through them again and again and again, just to be able to do it.
No more.
So
tears. No More Tears is just one of those songs that it just sends a chill down your spine. It's
absolutely
stand up. It's one of those.
So,
yeah.
So one of the things that happened, I'll just, you might want to like cut this and put this in further at the beginning. It kind of explains a few things. I used to work at Peugeot.
Right.
Yeah. So I worked at Peugeot, man and boy, 20 years. And then they went, oh, by the way, fuck off, we're leaving. Close the factory down. At which time I actually lived in the village. Yeah. So I used to live in Brighton Village. So everybody I know worked at Peugeot. Everybody in the village worked at Peugeot pretty much. And I was like, shit, what am I going to do? At that time, a friend of mine had got me involved with a couple of projects, like youth work stuff, working with disadvantaged kids, like bring equipment along, just seeing what you can teach them, right?
Yeah.
So when Peugeot went tits up, I bought a load of gear and set myself up at Coventry Boys Club.
All right.
So I was doing music, like community stuff with kids and teenagers, which is why that's how Adam came to know me, because he came along there. And we had some like rehearsal rooms in there, and my son was in there working with me, so we worked together, which is how I got into like back into music in a big way, because my son worked there, and a friend of mine, Rich Summerscale, who plays drum back the Black Routes, so he came and he used to volunteer, and we teach kids. So he'd teach them drums, I teach guitar. My son Sean, I teach him guitar or bass, and I teach bass or whatever. And we put all these little kiddie bands together, and all teenagers together. So I'm noticing there's lots of them that are still playing. Like Sam Farrelly and his brother Phil, they came down, and then with Gary Britton, they formed the Glassguns. That all started there. So it's great to watch all these people go on and do their thing. And I go, I knew when you couldn't play very well. I knew when you used to ask me, how do you change strings, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But what we did was we put a house band together so that kids could jam with us. Yeah. So if they wanted to learn a song, we'd all like help them write it, and we're playing every day. So we're having to learn lots and lots of new stuff. And lots of kids come down and want to learn how to play Slipknot. So shit, now I have to learn how to play detuned guitars and 7 strings and all this kind of stuff. So it really helped me a lot. And I said to my son one day, I said, you know what? We've got this house band. What we need to do is just go and play some gigs just for us. And he went, Dad, that's a brilliant idea. So he's a massive Wasp fan. We did Wasp covers, Ozzy Osbourne covers, right?
Yeah.
And Black Label Society covers, because he's a Mad Zach Wild fan too, right?
Yeah.
So I played bass and sang. He played guitar. He's a great guitar player. He was in a band called Finish Him in Coventry. Right. So they were like a metal band, yeah. And we put this band together, and we called it N5N. So you've got the Wasp song 9-5 Nasty.
Mm.
That's the full title of the band was 9-5 Nasty, and we had this logo which was N5N. And that's how I got back into playing in the past sort of 10 years. Yeah, because I've been in and out of bands and club bands and party bands and all that kind of shit. So that's how I got back into doing it again. And then like seeing other musicians grow around Coventry and all these young people like come along, do their thing, and go and put bands together. It's been brilliant.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the Unresolved, we'll take it forward a little bit. But what have you been able to do during the current lockdown? Have you been able to do anything? You writing songs or?
Yeah. So the biggest problem during lockdown is there's two problems, right?
Yeah.
First problem, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I've been strict with it. Yeah. I live on my own. I'm going mental with them. Adam's had to be. He started to social isolate before everything went to lockdown. When they were saying, if you think you've got whatever, because of his parents. Yeah. So there was a point where he said, you know, can't do band practice this week because, and then within 3 weeks, nobody could do band practice.
Yeah.
Nick's a nurse, so he's out there doing his thing. He's a community nurse, and his wife is a nurse at Walsgrave. And then Tom, who's the guy that replaced Andrew.
Yeah.
He lives in Cannock.
Oh, right.
So there's massive distance. I mean, normally we practice at Rabanne because I work in Birmingham. Yeah. So Tom comes from Cannock. I'm in Birmingham anyway. It's just down the road. We go and practice at Rabanne's, blah, blah, blah. Me and Adam stay in touch quite a lot. And we're on the phone to each other. So Adam is predominantly the wordsmith of the band.
Right.
So he's responsible. He writes all the lyrics there is. He writes them.
Yeah.
I'm not big with words. It's not my thing. I let other people do it. He's also got a vision of how he wants it to go. So he can come to band practice and go, or I need it to go something like, or he'll send me a clip of something like one of the songs he went, oh, I need to do it like this. And he'll send me something. And then I'll like quickly record something and send it. It'll be a yay or a nay. And that's how we've been doing stuff prior to this anyway.
Yeah.
It's not always turn up at rehearsal and okay, here's 90 million riffs, let's just pick one. It's not, you know it's not always that easy.
No,
yeah.
No.
There are some rehearsals you go to and you come away from and you go, why did I just waste my money going there? I could have gone out. I could have had fucking.
You come away quite deflated from it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Adam's written 5 songs. So there are 5 songs he's got need to start putting together.
Yeah.
We don't have the technology to all sit and play and sort of record it. Maybe this Zoom might be the way to do it. I don't know. Yeah. I've seen lots of bands doing stuff. I mean, James is quite good at doing stuff. He puts out a lot of content, but he's really good at the old video editing and stuff.
Yeah.
So lots of people in bands in the whole split screens, 4 screens, where they've all got the headphones on and they're all miming to a track that they've recorded on whatever media platform. We don't have that because I've only got this pad And even something as simple as Audacity,
Yeah.
you can't get Audacity on a Mac or an iPad.
Mm.
So Adam will send me something. He sent me something the other week and he went, yeah, you need to listen to that. And I was like, great.
Mm-hmm.
Opened it up and it's like, it's on Audacity. I can't play it. There's nothing I can do. So it's banging my head against the brick wall.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were thinking of ways that we may or may not be able to figure things out. I'm hoping things get lifted a bit sooner. Did hear that maybe Rabanas on some of their bigger rooms might be able to open in about 2 more weeks.
Mm.
And that way you can go, because you can be away from each other in the big rooms.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be brilliant. We need to get back into just playing what we play, because if you don't play it, you forget it.
Yeah. You had a tour set up as well, didn't you?
We had loads of stuff coming up. This is
Yeah.
our year, and I'm like super gutted. We were down in Wales, 2 dates in Wales in March, and they were the first things that sort of went. Last week we had a couple of gigs that were on, and they had to go. I was talking to Adam earlier, and we don't think. I mean, we got stuff all the way through into August. But we're not too sure even if they lift the lockdown and you're allowed to go and do gigs again, right? The thing we're not sure about is if some of these venues are going to even be here.
Well, there is another side to it as well, with the fact that bands sharing equipment and things like that is going to be quite a stumbling block as well.
Yeah, or mate, can I use your ramp? No.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, when we do headline and we headline a gig, everybody gets to use all our stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's going to be the same whether it's a small band, big band. It's the sharing of the equipment, setting it up, roadies touching things, microphones being obviously saliva and things like that going into them at some point, you know, and people sharing them. It's going to be so difficult. There's a lot of obstacles there before we get back into.
A long way off. Everything's a long way off. I feel this probably could change the way we do recreation for a very long time. Definitely. You know, but hopefully we'll find ways around it and we'll endure. Yeah. This to me, right? Last year was. We got Tom in, he bedded in, he's comfortable, he's doing what he needs to do. You know, if he needs help, I'll guide him, and he takes it on board and he does what's expected. We were set to go and do some recording in April. So we'd all sorted that out. We picked the weekends that we were going to do. We had, because the plan this year is to put an album together. Right. So
I was going to do about your plans as well, really, for the band, but
right. So the plan this year, we've got loads of gigs. We had loads of gigs coming up, a lot of travelling. I mean, first half of the year, we went down to a place called the Patriot in Wales, you know, and it went down. If you ever get a chance to go there, it is a great venue. We went down a storm. I mean, we were only supposed to play an opening set of half an hour. And so it was a long way to travel. And I was a bit like, not really looking forward to this. I don't know it. Half an hour, all the way to Wales.
Yeah.
Then we get there, right? And I look at the place and I'm like, this is a fucking brilliant venue. And, you know, it's the clubhouse for a motorbike organisation called the Patriots, which are all ex-servicemen, right? Brilliant. They're all patched up and everything, you know, with their cut-offs. It's like fucking amazing, and they're all nice, genuine people.
Yeah.
So we were on with three of the bands. Was it three? Thea, Verity White. Two, yeah. But these three bands are all managed by this one bloke. He comes up to us and he says to me, we're having a few difficulties. Can you guys do an hour? And I went, we can do 3 hours if you need us to. As we've played like 2-3 hour gigs. We didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He went, you got enough stuff to play? I said, yeah, we'll throw in a few covers. It'll be fine. So we rearranged the set, and I was like, do you know what we need to do? Because these are all ex-servicemen.
Yeah.
We need to play War Pigs, whole fucking 8 minutes, 28 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah. And then I went, and we need to do Out in the Fields because they will lose their shit when we play that.
Yeah.
We did. We played those two songs and we finished on one of our songs, right? So we rearranged it and we finished on, what did we finish on? Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes a Lady. It's quite a heavy track. And it just erupted. It went mental. And it was one of them moments because, like, you play War Pigs, you got to do it note for note, right? So I had to behave. No improvised crap on that. And it's the same with the Gary Moore one. You can't improvise it. You got to play it the way it is. And people really appreciated it, and they sang. They just sang it back at us. It was mental, really good. Which is why. So one of the things that we did, you might have seen a post on our page. I donated one of my basses.
Yes, I have seen that. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So as of today, that lives with me. The guy came all the way from Cheltenham to pick it up. Right. He bid on it. I was like, yeah, okay, so the money is secured. We're going to put that in. Because I'm getting angry and annoyed that some bands are doing a lot of stuff and promoting themselves. Brilliant, right? You're writing stuff and you're promoting yourself. Great. What happens when you've got nowhere to play? And it was driving me mad. And I'm like, we need to support these venues. It's all well and good saying to play, but if there's nowhere to play, if the Arches is no longer reopens, we've got nowhere to play in Coventry. You know what I mean? Yeah. If the Patriot goes, that's a great venue lost. Yeah. If the Station in Cannock goes, I mean, that's another great venue. We played there not so long ago. It's fucking amazing. So I said to Adam, what are we going to do? And he went, what can we do? I went, I don't know. And then I went, do you know what? Fuck it. I'll just give a guitar away. I've done it before. We had a competition a couple of years ago and I gave a guitar away. But it just, I just said to him, we need to do something to try and raise cash. So let's just have a guitar. I'll give a bass and we'll flog it on eBay, and whatever money we get, we'll put that in, and then we'll top it up with a few little bits of sales and see what we can do. We'll put it in. If you go on the page, it will tell you who the organisation is that's helping band venues out. Yeah, there's an organisation being set up. And really, I just want to promote that more than anything else. You know, if that gets promoted out of this, that's brilliant. Yeah, because my other plan was, I think if I did something like that next time, I won't be so extravagant and give a guitar away because it's expensive. But you know what I mean? What I might do is, you know what I mean? I might go, oh, do you know what? If I don't know. I'll come up with some mad idea, but we'll do it like a raffle, so people can just donate a couple of quid. Yeah, you know, quid, 2 quid, 3 quid, and we'll run something a bit longer. Yeah, so that people can donate to try and save venues. I appreciate people are really interested in trying to help save the NHS, and you know, salute that man walking around his garden. Yeah, and he raised so much money. That's amazing. Yeah. My only problem with that, and I'm not always very political, is that the NHS is a government-funded, taxpayer-funded system, and if it hadn't have been starved of money, little old bloke in 100 wouldn't have to walk around his garden. Yeah. We shouldn't think that is normal. We shouldn't clap and think that's normal. We should hold a government to account, and that's the only political thing I'm going to say.
We're going to get too far down the political route if we're not careful. But,
no, if people want to know what my political views are, come and talk to me. Yeah. Buy me a beer, sit down, and I'll bore you to death. It's one of them.
About this point, though, it's probably not the best subject to wrap up on, but I think we ought to wrap it up a little bit.
Okay, mate.
We've been chatting now for what? Probably nearly an hour now. So I think we've covered just about every bit of ground there. What you're doing, what you've done. We'll have another chat ourselves offline, which we've
awesome.
Sure. Yeah, and we'll catch up with that beer as well at some point. You drinking beer and me drinking orange, I don't know, but
we'll go somewhere where they do non-alcoholic beer, so you can have a non-alcoholic one. I know you like those.
Yeah, we'll do something. We'll have in person. But for now, thanks for
I just realised it's gone really dark.
to your world and the band, the Unresolved.
Thank you.
I'm going to say goodbye there.
All right.